the version I talk about document processing. So today, if you want to create a document, you have multiple options of how open will be the product that you will use to do that. And Google Docs in the modern world is OpenAI API, right? If you build your company around OpenAI API, you will be killed eventually when OpenAI decides to change the pricing, or they will decide to build the same feature and cut off the access to anybody who's competing with them. And then Mistral and Llama, what we call an open source AI, is open source in the same way in which Microsoft Word is open source, right? In the sense that you do have the model, and you can be completely offline, you can tinker with it, you can fine tune it, etc. But first of all, you don't know how it was created. You don't see which data was put into creating Mistral or Llama, what sort of backdoors were potentially placed in there. And you cannot recreate it, right? If you want to introduce a feature to it, fine tuning is as far as you can go. There's no way to redo the process of creating a Llama with some changes that you want. And the only model I know today that is in any way comparable to LibreOffice is Olmo, which was announced, I think, less than a month ago by Allen Institute of Technology, which has open data, open training loop, so you can download all of it, spin up a cluster, and fully reproduce it, get exactly the same model, tinker with it the way you want. I will refer to Llama and Mistral as open weights model. And open weights model surely drive innovation. If you remember what's been happening when Stable Diffusion came out, it was complete craziness. Like every day, top one news on Hacker News would be how someone built something new, completely outstanding using Stable Diffusion. And there's even bigger case for truly open AI. And for that, I will do another bad analogy. In 2024, the internet of tomorrow will be powered by artificial intelligence. And on the current path, if nothing changes much, we will be in a position where between Google, OpenAI, and a couple other behemoths, they will control the tier one models that will be the true power of the next internet. Then there will be open source models, the same way that we have Mastodon today for social networking. They will exist. People will be able to tinker with them. They will always be one step behind. And there will be no way to penetrate this walled garden, because once it is established, once AI becomes the way we interact with the internet, the feedback loop of creating data, of capturing user attention and information will make them unreachable. Nobody who builds open source or open solution will be able to compete with them. And I want to, now that we know that there is this problem, and I hope you guys agree with me that there is a problem here, what would be the building blocks? What would it take for someone to go, and what if we say, hey, starting tomorrow, we want to start building truly open AI simultaneously and in parallel with the walled gardens, something we failed to do in 2010 as a tech community with social networks. So there are multiple building blocks. One is compute. And compute effectively means you need to have a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money today, you will be irrelevant in the AI space. So academia, small startups, they will not be what will create this power, unfortunately. And then there is data. There are many sorts of data you need for machine learning. I will not talk about some of them, but I want to talk about what I call smart data. Data that effectively differentiates your model from the competition. You can build a lot of interesting systems where you incentivize humans to either create data or supply data or annotate data for you. On Near, we have had an experiment since 2001 with data annotations, which has moved through many, many steps. And as of today, we have an extremely sophisticated data annotation that works in a fully decentralized manner with people annotating data and having incentives for that. And you can extend this idea. First of all, you can scale it significantly. You can extend it to not just annotating data, but also supplying data, right? So for example, Twitter or LinkedIn, they are fully walled gardens, but you can easily create an incentives for people as they browse the internet to supply this data into the common pool of information. And naturally, Twitter and LinkedIn data belongs to people. It is data created by humans, and it belongs to the society as a whole. Then you do need long-term incentives. So this is an interesting problem that exists today, that even though Mistral exists, and Llama exists, and Olmo exists, all of those are artifacts of the current market where the attention and hype you get from publishing an open source model creates more value for you than the cost of keeping the model closed. But that will not last forever. And stability is a good example where incentives suddenly stopped working and stability is now struggling. And the same will be happening. Mistral will not be publishing their models forever because they are a for-profit company. They need to be making money. So you need to find long-term incentives where publishing open source models, truly open models, will be forever the most meaningful action for the entity that is driving the innovation. Finally, you do need in that entity to have tier 1 AI talent. AI people do not work with people they don't respect. This is an interesting thing about them, is that if you look where people who are very good at AI, where they go, they always go to the labs that have the best people. They go to Google, they go to OpenAI, they go to Facebook. That's where, hypotheticals, Jan LeCun, Ilya Sutskever's, and Sergey Zagadis of the world work, right? So if you don't have people like that, it's going to be much harder. Tangentially and completely unrelated, it happens that the paper that introduced transformers to this world was written by one of the co-founders of Near. Yeah, that's this is where it would have been nice to say more, but I cannot. So thank you, and
thank you. Can we have a round of applause for Alex?